The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Check this.
Welch, get in you go G and DL Debate. Let me say Brendan O'Davney on Shot I Highland Radio. Everyone, welcome to the DL Debate. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now in Highland Radio or back via the podcast. I hope you had a good weekend, another sunny weekend in Donegal. I'm joined in studio here by Mark Gallagher, producing this evening. He's a happy man, just recently hitched there to the lovely Assia. He is off the market, a good looking guy, ladies, but he is off the market now. He is a settled man. Good luck to him, Mark. Congratulations for that. He's producing the show this evening, and we're going to speak shortly to the one and only Maureen O'Donnell. She's going to give us the lowdown on the championships across the board, along with Donegal News sports editor Ryan Ferry. We're going to wrap up all the weekend's championship action, and then later I'm going to speak with former Donegal star hurler Niall Cleary as we build up to a huge weekend in hurling in Donegal. We have 3 county finals taking place this Saturday at the O'Donnell Park, the home of hurling in Doon. Niall, I just have to mention the Masters game from the weekend. It sounded a bit crazy. It went a draw game with light fading. The referee decided to play 3 minutes extra time. Then they were going to play penalties. There seems like there's no replays wanted out there. Ryan Ferry, Maureen O'Donnell, how are yous?
Good,
Brendan. Good.
Very good. How are you?
Oh, tearing away, Mo. Hey, listen, thanks so much for joining us, Ryan. Nobody wants replays anymore. 3 minutes of extra time. Did you ever hear anything like it?
It's a bizarre one. We had Jerry McLaughlin at it, Brendan, and you can imagine what his humour was like watching that kind of drama unfold. He still probably prefer that than penalty shootout, but yeah, it was definitely a strange one. Now 3 minutes each way. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know how they came up with the number at all, to be honest.
Yeah, it was interesting. Interesting indeed, folks. Sorry, I jumped on the hot seat late. I forgot to mention, of course, Michaela with the news and the great Ivan Borland. I was listening to Power Hour Plus on the way up. He was getting the toes tapping all right. Listen, I enjoyed the show. Listen, we're going to open up with a big clash. Dunlow, last year's beaten finalist, but listen, what a season they have. They've picked up the ground running. 3 wins from 3 here. They had a tough fixture away to Glenswilly, but come out on top by a couple of points. Mo, you seen that one?
I did indeed. Like a really good game, to be honest. Look, and as most people maybe expected, Dunlow going down to Glenswilly, it's very hard to take the points from them down there. A repeat of last year's quarter final, and we all know how that went. Came down to the wire, and Glenswilly were out of the championship just by a point. Last year, probably not the same start this year. They started off, I suppose, just settled into the game and tried to get to know one another early. Like last year, Dunlow bagged 2 goals early in the early stages. But listen, Glenswilly went in 2 points down at half time, and he just couldn't get to grips, with Dunlow. And I suppose the youth and young Luke Clerk in there scored 5 fantastic scores and really good assists by the full forward Ryan Connor. So they have, I suppose, that little bit more experience. Look, Gary McDade, I'll always say that his team is a very youthful one. They're reblooding there in Glenswilly at the minute, and like they're hampered actually with injuries too as well. So, but look, you can't take it away from Dunlow. They put on a great stunt, 60-minute stunt there in Glenswilly, and ran out deserving winners in the end.
Yeah, what's the word from Michael Murphy?
Listen, look, he was there yesterday, not togged. So maybe they're just trying to hold on for another wee while. Maybe he's picked up a small injury, but that's all you can say on it. It's clear to say he wasn't there yesterday. The influence he has on the field. So they're missing Murphy, and they're also missing young Jack Gallagher as well. Mark Bonner from the week before scored a fabulous 2-pointer against McCool's. he was out injured as well, and then Kevin Marley left the field just at the end of second half, and he scored two fabulous 2 pointers the week before to draw them back, to claw them back to a draw against McCool's. So that missing those kind of calibre players in the field too as well, so it's having an impact on their play.
Yeah, and there's certainly around something building there with Glen Swilly. Obviously, the big comeback the week before. They were very close to snatching a draw in this one. And as the 2-pointer, Ryan, it's along with everything else, it was set up to be this extra scoring and to encourage teams to come out and not to be sitting too deep, etc. But it's certainly at the end of matches producing a lot of drama as teams either have the potential to win it or to equalise even from 2 down, as Glen Swilly had.
Yeah, and I think it was a great block from Dylan Sweeney.
That's right.
Denied, I think it was Dahigal Day had the shot, but yeah, if you're brave enough to take it on at the end, Brendan, you could be the hero or you could be zero, and if you miss it, there'll be plenty of people lining up to tell you it was the wrong choice. But particularly the weekend before last, when you had that really good weather, Brendan, there was loads of 2-pointers and coming both ends of the pitch, which you don't often see in Donegal, because there's usually a breeze going some way, and it's hard to score. And there's a lot to decide whether you play with that breeze in the first half, Brendan, or go with it in the second half. That if you need a 2-pointer and lay it on, you want to be able to kick it. Whereas if you're playing against the breeze, it mightn't be possible to do it. So there's a lot to weigh up for managers.
Yeah, a lot to weigh up, because I seen Buncrana actually have 3 attempts at the game. Me and Oisin was at yesterday late on. 3 good attempts to equalise up the game. They couldn't get it, but we'll talk about that later. Mo, you're the homeboys there. We're down in St Michael's, both at opening day defeats, but had responded well in week 2. It was a hard game to call, but certainly 1-7. Mo, were you surprised by when you seen the scoreline there? St Michael's 14, Termon 1-7.
Aye, listen, it's a tough one to call, to be honest. I would have said, Termon would have given them a good game, particularly after the week before and the great game they had at home against Four Masters. Look, it was a hard one to call, but Termon really needed the points. And look at the draw they come away with this week now, which is going to make it even more difficult. It's going to be a very nervy affair down in Termon this week. But I would have thought they would have got over the line. They just couldn't get going down in St Michael's, Brendan, to be honest with you. And look, that's really going to affect them now going into this last game. They could have done what the cushion won, but there you go. Look, both teams, both St Michael's and Termon, they're very young sides at the minute, and they're learning a lot year by year. We've seen how far St Michael's went this year, and Termon's very new into it. And I know they had a very good Division 1 campaign like this year, but look, Championship's a different game, and they're beginning to see this now at this stage.
Yeah. And Ryan, is this a good game for Termon maybe now? That probably a wee bit of rivalry there with St Eunan's. They played well in the league against them. There'll be certainly a big crowd up. I think maybe for both teams it's a good game in terms of probably bringing that bit of championship bite, isn't it?
Oh, I would say it's a better game for St Eunan's than it is for Termon. Anyway, I would say they would have preferred somebody at the other side of the scale, Brendan, because they only have 2 points, and if they lose, 2 points mightn't be enough to get them through to the knockout stages. You could be looking at relegation playoffs. So I would say Termon are probably looking at the games that they've had, Killybegs, Four Masters, and St Michael's. I think they'll be disappointed with only 1-1 from 3 games, and now they're coming into face St Eunan's, and St Eunan's are getting all the county men back. They have to click into gear now as well. So yeah, I don't think that's a great game for Termon to get, to be honest. But at the Burn Road, the pressure will be on. It'll be Keelan McDade will be putting it up to his team that they have to get a result to make sure they get into the preliminary quarterfinals. And if that means taking out their neighbours, then so be it.
Yeah, and do you know what? I've seen a lot in the last few weeks' championship. There's definitely a serious physical edge to a lot of teams. So Michael seemed to have a physical edge, maybe over Termon the last night, which I'm just looking at teams. Very impressed with McCool's physicality. We'll come on to him now in a minute. And even the way he done low when I seen them last year, particularly in that county final. But Sean McCool's had another brilliant victory at the weekend to put them up to 5 points, just nestled in behind the two teams leading the charge, Gidor and Dunlow. Here's a couple of words from their manager, Guy Wilson, after the victory. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Gary Wilson. Gary, brilliant performance from your side, particularly in that second half. 10 points in the first half, but brilliant 2-12 in the second half. You must be happy with how the game went.
Okay, overall delighted, Brendan, just to get the result more than anything. Sometimes you know yourself, if you get 2 points with a bad performance or 2 points with a good performance, it's still 2 points, in the grand scheme of the whole, the structure that it is. But look, overall, yeah, we're happy with the performance. I think in the first 2 games we would have been kind of kicking ourselves a wee bit. We probably the games in the bag and a wee bit of composure, a wee bit of game management, as they say. We could have probably had 4 points on the board coming down here versus 3. So we'd focused it heavily on that. And I think we have to be very aware too of the players that we're asking to manage the game for us. Oisín's kind of trapped inside, and so is Martin. So you're putting a lot of onus on the likes of Sean Martin and Connor and Finn. A lot of them men aren't even over 20 yet, so you're sort of, I suppose, tasking young men with, I suppose, big really leadership roles. And I think tonight they really showed their capacity that they can go and do this, and that's what's really important in the senior championship, is recognising moments where we've got to go for the juggler here, and recognise moments, when you take a sting out of this game and manage this for a period of time, maybe the other team's on top or whatever. So I think overall, performance-wise, we've been very, very pleased.
Yeah, a couple of big leads in those 2 games previous. You came here tonight, I was just looking after 12 minutes, it was 5 each, and the game was to and fro, and small bit of a lead at half time, 10-6, and you thought maybe the home team would come after you. But I thought in that second half, Gary, your defensive shape, you always had spare men, you always had at least 2 sweepers, maybe 3 at times, to nullify their attack. Your tackling was bang on, and when you got the ball in, you drove forward at pace, and it seemed like you had runners coming from all over. So a huge work in the background in terms of shape, your tactical setup, but then that real energy of players breaking off. And you say Oisín was a jewel in the crown, but you had players coming from all over the pitch.
Yeah, and look, we're blessed in essentially in the club, and it's a real blessing for the club. I see Luke Gavigan down there, captain the county under-20 team. Sean's captain the county under-20. Connor's been in there. Finn's been in the minors. Oisín's Oisín. And we should have probably 1 or 2 other fellas in there that have been representing on teams, and for one reason or another just maybe haven't gotten there. So we do have players that can hurt you from all angles, and we have a lovely sprinkling of youth. And with that, as Brendan, it's full of legs. It's not like us. We're a bit slower.
But correct. Full of legs is right. Good man, Gary. I'll tell you what, they were full of legs. Mo, is this the thing now, Mo? This you got to be at the pitch of it in terms of that athleticism, because as I was saying the last night, McCool's well set up defensively. I really like their shape, good midfield, good tackling, but going forward then, Keegan, McGinty, McCormick, and of course Oisín Gallen, they just had so many threats for Ardra to deal with. It was such a difficult proposition in a game. A few people maybe found a bit hard to call, particularly as Ardra was at home. It was a serious performance from Sean McCool's.
Yeah, really, really good. And look, they needed the one, to be honest with you. And you say athleticism, you do need that. You need to be at your game. You need to have those scorers, those attackers, and you need to be on form for the full 60 minutes, because, as you say, like McCool's allowed St Michael's and Glenswally back into the games, both in the second half. They were down. They were ahead by 10 points. St Michael's, in the St Michael's game, they won it by 2.
Yeah. Is you still there, Mo? Sorry, we might have lost Mo a sec there, did we, Mark? You still there? Oh, you're back. Sorry, Mo, we lost you a second. Keep going there.
There we go. But as I say, look, they were down in the second half in both games. So and look, they allowed not down, but they allowed other teams to come back from big gaps that they were leading by. So look, they need that fitness in the second half, and they need to be able to carry their performance from the first half into the second half, particularly this weekend going on against Kildare. Brendan, it's a big game, and they need to be in full firing in all cylinders. Yourself. They're playing at home, but it's not really is it back in McCool's or is it still in Convoy?
That's it. I think pitch is still being relayed there, right?
It's not really in Convoy, so it's not really a home game for them.
That's right.
So big game in the championship for them.
Yeah, and I think that's the tie of the round, Mo, right? That's the one seems the most interesting in all those fixtures, but quite a few. Should be quite a few good ones in there. Ryan, at the end of that interview, I had to cut a bit short there just for time tonight, but Gary said that maybe this year would be a year too early for his team maybe to get to a county final, but they were mighty close in the last couple of seasons. That's 4 years he's been involved now. He's definitely building something, and you know, he mentioned Sean Martin there, you know, as well, coming from deep. Like, they have an array of talent there. They're certainly building a good squad, and say Gallen at times was unmarkable on Saturday evening.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I've seen the three McCool games. I would say probably Sean Martin, outside of the regular county man, probably has been the most impressive player that I've seen on show so far. Like, he really looks to have kicked on over the last 12 months, and he's really driving his team forward. Like, McCool's had 3 or 4 in the county minors this year, Brendan. They had maybe another 3 in the under 16 panel. And they've, like, Oshin's only 25, like, so he's going to be leading the way for a good while. The Matthew McGeehan, I think, that the cruciate, so he's a wee bit unlucky there, but he was a forward that really impressed me during the league as well. So, yeah, I would probably say maybe a wee bit early for them, but maybe not either. I think Gweedore will be a good judge of where McCool's are at, because they've struggled against Gweedore in the last couple of years. But maybe the new rules are going to help the likes of McCool's. Like, the inside forwards seem to be getting a wee bit more leeway, Brendan. You'll be glad to see that, and it seems to suit teams. And like Kevin McCormick and Oisin Gallen were hard to deal with the last day.
They were. There was, I tell you what, it was a very impressive performance. We'll see how they go. Yeah, certainly some interesting stuff coming up. Killybegs, Kilcar. There was other derbies at the weekend between senior and intermediate, and local bragging rights and that, but they went to the men of Kilcar, even though top scorer McBurty, who scored 9 and 8 in the last 2 games, he was missing. But of course, Ryan McHugh was there, and a great game from Matthew McLean, who basically, he could be in the county squad, I think, if things were a bit different. So is that the difference, Mo? You have that quality coming back into your ranks and really shoring up a Kilcar team, even minus McBurty, because Killybegs looked like they're under Boner building a bit of something again down there.
Yeah, look, Kilcar obviously fantastic championship team, always have been, but it's a case of how long is it going to last as well. And like, they had a big defeat down there in Townie, and I think it shocked a lot of people against that Downings one, and that's really hurt them, but so they absolutely need a big one now this weekend against Glenswally.
Yeah, huge.
That?
Yeah, that's a massive game. Yeah, some interesting games in there as well, Mo. Obviously Downings and Leave Connell has to be replayed this weekend. That's this weekend. It's all the following weekend. Sorry, that's the only game going to be going ahead in the championship this weekend, and then you're in the Dunlow Four Masters, another pretty intriguing one. We're trying to gauge where Four Masters is at, Mo, and certainly the Dunlow game will test that.
Absolutely, like, Four Masters have a lot to lose. They're sitting on 4 points, so like a win for them changes things. Like, that's what it's all about. And like, as you say, a very interesting mix now. Round 4 has certainly thrown up a lot of interesting mixes there, and it could go anyway, because, as you say, Downings and Leaf Connell still have to play, so either one of those are going to go to 4 points as well, and then with the next game either one of them go to 6. So it changes there's so many dimensions now to it, and it's very, very hard to call. But look, Four Masters, we've heard a lot about Four Masters and the youth that they have been bringing. I still feel they have a little bit to go in terms of experience. They're a young side, and when they went down to Termond, lost against Termond, they really put themselves in the back foot, so they need a win now this weekend. And look, they have nothing to lose going up against Dunlow. But the only thing is, Dunlow's at home. It's going to be very hard to take the points with Dunlow at the minute, with the momentum that they have, Brendan.
Yeah, but certainly interesting, Ryan. There seems to be, for me, a lot of games in here, which last few years, not last year's, but certainly previous to the rule changes. And, there was a time in Donegal where it was very much, we knew who was going to be in the semis and finals within reason. There might have been an odd team, but now it looks like there's a real bit of jeopardy in there for a lot of teams between the rules, and I think teams have basically got their act together a bit. That's why I think we have a very interesting championship. And I know at times, we still, it falls under a wee bit of keep ball sometimes if the zonal sits off and it goes a little bit pedestrian, but by and large there's a tremendous amount of interest there. And if you like, Sean McCool's and Gweedore now is a massive game in this championship. I mean, 2 of the teams sitting up the top. This will really test again McCool's championship credentials, Ryan, because I think they're merited from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, well, but the only thing is, Bren, like, it's not a knockout game, and like, you're getting closer to the knockout stages now, and like I'm not sure we've got a real true sense yet of really where it's at. Like when you look at the likes of St. Eunan's, they've used a lot of players, maybe 25 players already, Bren. Like what is St. Eunan's strongest team? And when are we going to see it? Neve Connell have used a good few players already. We're not really sure where those teams are at. Like so, I feel when the knockouts element comes into it, there could be a different story a wee bit with this, Brand. I'm not sure we're getting just a true gauge on where things are at. And there's been some nice free flowing football. I watched this stream of Four Masters and Glenfin this morning. Four Masters played some lovely football yesterday in Chicano Park. But when in a knockout game against a more physical side, are they going to be able to play like that? I'm not so sure, but yeah, like it's going to be interesting to see, mainly into round four, who avoids the relegation playoff. St. Eunan's last year, I don't need to tell you, Brendan, you just came from the preliminary quarterfinals to win it.
Yeah.
Does the extra week break make a difference or not? Maybe you can tell us that.
Yeah, but listen, you wanted the break anyway, Ryan. Playing week on week, it asks a lot of the team. But I think when you're in it, you just go with it. You don't mind it. You're not going to make any excuses about it and go for it. But certainly, you would have liked that week off because the championship season becomes very condensed. You're always trying to get a mix between freshness. I suppose, as everybody knows that's listening, there's players all over the country. You're pulling players together, trying to get cut between rest and rehab to games. So certainly the teams go straight through, you'd think, have an advantage. But listen, it didn't stop St. Eunan's, as you mentioned, last season, Ryan. But Mo, just on that, St. Eunan's, from what I've seen of St. Noel's and what I've seen of Aurora, I was expecting big victories at the weekend from Gweedore and St. Eunan's, two of the maybe favourite teams for it. But they certainly didn't have it all their own way. I was very surprised when I seen the scorelines coming through.
But that's, I suppose, what the interesting thing about this year's championship is the new rules, and you're not expecting the kind of maybe thrashings that you might think will happen, or the victories from these teams that they're supposedly the top teams versus what we would maybe deem the teams at the bottom end of it, And Ryan made a good point earlier when he said that the game's a lot more opened up. It really is, attacking wise, and you also mentioned there is that element of zonal defence and that zone holding on to the ball as well when you need to. But from what I've seen so far of these games is that they're way more free flowing. They're a lot more. They're more open up front. There's more attack plays, and I watched Oisin Gallen against in the Glenswally game as well. A lot of room to play. There's a lot more room for these players to play. And then the element of the two-pointer. They're taking points, they're taking these shots, they're taking these risks, and it's changing the game. So, in a lot of ways, the scorelines aren't what we think they are, Brendan,
I'm just caught now between. I really like the home and away third game. We've talked about this a lot, and talked to my friends in Tyrone about it, about their championship needing that maybe first round because knockout just seems so severe. But getting that balance right, because I'm seeing some championship games now, they're not championship games, but then it does lead to an excitement that I just wonder between maybe building up the league the way to do in Tyrone and bringing in maybe a lesser game championship. Would it be better? But listen, at the minute, I'm certainly enjoying the senior championship, and we look forward to round four in a couple of weeks' time. After the hurling finals, of course, the big hurling finals this week, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. The intermediate championships rolling along. The men from Malin drew again, Malin and Fanet. That was sounds like another humdinger, 212 to 212. Ryan, you had eyes on that?
Yeah, I made the journey to Connolly Park, Bren, and well worth it now. A cracking game that could have went either way. Probably Fanad, probably the better team on the night. But lucky to get a draw in the end up. And it's funny the way it goes. I think after the match they were kind of thinking maybe that a draw wasn't going to be good enough, even with a win in their last game. And then that victory for Muff over Buncrana kind of gives fresh life to Fanad again now. And it's heading into round four, that Fanad Buncrana game is going to be a massive one, so there's going to be proper jeopardy in there, Bren, because some team is going to end up in the relegation playoff, and yeah, Malin have been going well, Brendan. Probably struggled a wee bit in the physical exchanges against Keelan at the weekend, particularly in the air. Young Shankar for Fanet had a great game in the middle of the field, plucked a lot of ball, but Dara Douglas down the left really got it going for Malin, and And Josh Conlon had a great game at centre half forward, so elusive. There's times he looked like he was going to be all bottled up, and next thing, he's away and he's shooting over the bar. Like, so, yeah, Malin have lost a lot of players from last year. They're young, like, but they've 3 games now unbeaten. They're going to be at the knockout stages, and it's whether Fanet can get there maybe ahead of Buncrana.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I say, me and Osh were in Buncrana yesterday. Highly entertaining game. Listen, the two county men, McColgan and McGonigal, were unbelievable, particularly in the first half. Some of the play, and McColgan just like shooting on sight, unreal, and McGonigal the same, just driving, and no one could stop him. Second half changed a bit. There was Johnny Toy who stood up for the men from Neve Patrick Iskakeen. I got a couple of words from him after the match. I'm here with Johnny Toy. Johnny, another intermediate derby against your friends of Buncrana. It was an end-to-end game, nothing between the sides, but you came out on the right side of it.
Yeah, look, we were up about just in the kick before half time, and we conceded an out sloppy free with it, and we've done a point down, and in years gone by that would have took the sailing out of us. Now it's only a point now, but we came out in the second half, and I don't know what came over us, we just kept fighting back, and the goal was a real turning point, and it was just like, I can't give enough credit to the boys. Like I said to the boys there at the end, like all the credit goes to the scorers, but I thought our defence done very well. There were a few crucial blocks at a few crucial times and turnovers, and I thought in the second half we won a savage amount of breaking ball from our own kickouts, especially out in the stand side here. So massive credit to the players and the management and all the work they put in to prepare us for this game.
Johnny, at the end of the first 10 minutes, Buncrana had brought a bit of physical edge to it, which I thought you struggled with, because it wasn't your game. You're more a fast running team. You used your pace, you got the grips with it, and then it just became end to end. Every time someone would have had a brilliant score, it was responded. To me, looking at it in the first half in particular, obviously Keelan McColgan against Keelan McGonigal was the big shootout, but you in the second half was the difference, because I don't think Keelan had as much an influence, but you stepped up to the plate with a couple of brilliant 2-pointers, and of course that goal.
Yeah, look, you see what the two boys bring whenever they're playing. Like, we watched Buncrana and Malin there a few weeks ago, and Keelan was out of the game, and all of a sudden he burst through and he busted the net, and he probably should have won the game in the last kick of the game. And look, you can see what Keelan brings to us. Like, on his day, like even out there the day, like in the first half he was untouchable. I don't know what he got in the first half. He got 3 or 4 points in the first half. Like, and to have somebody like him in your team, like as you say, maybe not wild physical, but when he starts running, he's hard to stop in terms of pace. And look, apart from maybe the penalty we gave away, I thought we dealt with Keelan McGonigal fairly well, because it wasn't just one boy on him. It was next man up. Like, you had to keep hounding him, and and when we carried him out, we got a great turnover in the second half at one stage, and it was a massive turning point in the game. Like, you could hear the crowd shouting, because that turned the game for us. Yeah,
and just back to that penalty miss, I suppose Keelan was a wee bit of a rash tackle. The ball went over the bar. Now they still got a score out of it by the corner forward Mulholland. But after that, those 2-point efforts from seemed to, like, Buncrana lost their way. Keelan had one, and then Campbell went for one for the hands, which I thought Keelan might have taken, and then that one late on. Was your heart in your mouth a wee bit in those instances, because it looked like you had the game won, and particularly maybe the McColgan one where he went for a goal that you maybe could have went 3 up. Nobody could go 3 ahead, so it was always hanging with that score, but you survived.
Look, like I said to the boys, I said if the Buncrana's free tickers were on their game, they'd have probably beat us the other day. And look, I always go back to, like, when Buncrana were 2 points down there. Like, I remember doing it a few months ago in the league. We were 2 down, and it was a 50-metre breach. Like, and I decided to take the 1-pointer, because if you miss the 2-pointer, you're still 2 down. At least if you hit the 1 and you win the kick out, you're only 1 down. You get an easier score. But look, I thought we showed real guts towards the end.
Yeah, he did. Johnny Toy, smart man there. Tactics, he's thinking ahead of the game. Right, and listen, that was another big win for Niamh Patrick Iskakeen. Of course, Niamh Columba, with 3 huge victories. And this is starting to take a bit of shape for you around, I suppose Red Hughes going well at the weekend, maybe a surprising defeat from them. Your homeboys Milford coming up with the goods there. But so certainly plenty of competitive age in the intermediate.
Yeah, definitely been good championship so far. I suppose that probably the main surprise to me has probably been Buncrana's struggles so far. Now the been a lot of Inishowen derbies, and that's probably going to take its toll maybe on all the teams. It was interesting that Kevin Jordan came on yesterday, Brendan. I think, is that correct?
Yep.
And he obviously was on Finn Harp's books, like, so that's going to be a big boost for them. I like if Buncrana could squeeze through into the knockout stages, they could be a very dangerous team in this championship. Particularly if they land in it, maybe number 7 or number 8 and are going to square off against one of the top teams. It it could have a big stay on it. Steve McMenamin wasn't there for Red Hughes yesterday. Big loss because he was unbelievable against Nivora the previous week. And I think Mulford got a great start, maybe 1-5 to no score up. They were 10 points ahead at half time and were able to see it out. So it was a good one for Mulford's morale. 'Cause, the last couple of players, crucial injuries just before the championship, Brendan, and probably maybe things, weren't as at as high an ebb as it could have been, but they got that big result. And Niamh Padraig, Eshkakeen as well, Brendan, they've lost Rory Hurl and Kevin Doherty, two big players for them not playing, but they're still getting results.
Big Kevin Lynch was just back as well. He'll, I'm sure, add a lot to it. Nivora bounced back with a good victory over struggling Cloughaneely. Owen Martin with 2-8 of their 4-19. Mo's going to give us a wee bit of a ladies roundup now and in a minute. Before we just cross across the junior championship there, I suppose one of the ties around Niamh Breed against Convoy was a big game, Ryan.
Yeah, and probably the surprise was the big one in margin for Niamh Breed. So they'd be feeling good about themselves. St Mary's will be disappointed. At the Glebe, Carndonna beat Letterkenny Gales, Brendan, but it was tight enough. I think there was only 1 point in it, maybe 45 minutes to go, and Carndonna finished strongly. Then I think Ronan Freehan was back for Letterkenny Gales, scored 7 points. So that was interesting. Carndonna still looking strong, but they're not going to run away with it either. But there's a lot of fires for other teams to put out when it comes to Carndonna.
Yeah, indeed. Pedigo beat Lifford, a second one for Robert Emirates. They defeated Oris as well. Niamh Alton beat Maville, and it seemed like a cracking game there. 126 to 415. There was Danny Murphy hat-trick in there for Maville. Not enough to get them across the line. We'll be keeping an eye on the Junior Championship A&B as time goes on. Ryan, that's it for now in that wrap up. Ryan Ferry there, Donegal News Sports Editor. Ryan, thanks for that. We'll chat as the championship unfolds.
Thank you, Brendan.
Top man there, Ryan Ferry. Mo, you're still on the line there. Mo, could you give us a roundup just of the ladies championship, how it's been coming together there, and are we into the same runners and riders as ever? We have a new one on there, of course. Tony Boys don't know. I have to mention them from the get-go.
You better mention them, hey, because he'd be on the phone to you. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the same as always. Look, two groups, Brendan, Group A and Group B, and look, you'll remember chatting to me last year. Those that were drawn out of Group A had to play in Group B, so it was a bit of a mess. So anybody who thought they were getting away with maybe a handy enough group weren't last year. But look, Group A this year, you've got probably the hardest group in terms of championship. Maville, Termon and Dunloe are in there. St Eunan's are in there, and Irua, Ballyshannon are in there. And then Group B, you've got Glenfin, St Knowles, Niamh Connell and Niamh Wora. As it stands, Maville are currently top of Group A. Termon are on 6 points below them. Maville obviously 9 points. Dunloe just below those on 3 points, and then St Eunan's and Irua haven't had a win yet, so they're both on no points. And then look, Group B, Glenfin is dominating in Group B. But look, there's a couple of real interesting battles to come ahead. Termon obviously played Dunloe. Tony Boyle's Dunloe now this weekend, but Termon are at home. Look, they need a win. Obviously, if Dunloe beat Termon now at home this weekend, that throws up a spanner in the works for Termon in terms of they have Maville in their last game, so they would really need to win their last game, and it's actually away in Maville as well, so that'd be a big journey down there for Termon, so. But Maville are probably doing very, very well now at the top. Look, it's in Group A, it's between Maville, Termon and Dunloe, and the way Group B is going, Glenfin, St Knowles and Niamh Connell are probably going to battle it out. Niamh Connell now at the minute have 1 point. St Knowles are on 4 points, and look, a 1 for Neve Connell at the weekend will put them on 4 points with St Knowles. St Knowles play Glenfin, but Glenfin will probably beat St Knowles at the weekend, which means St Knowles will still be on 4 points. So what's going to happen there is it will come down to head to head. When you look at head to head, it was a draw, so it'll probably go to points difference then, Brendan. So look, there's a bit of argy-bargy in both of those, and look, it's the same as last year. Top 4 going to the semi-final, and the rest go to Shield.
So it's going to be someone. Well, I know Dunlow's first year in, but they're on the way up. So it would be someone's going to get squeezed. Great to see Maville back to that. Height again.
It really is.
Yeah. Is that a bit of work at underage coaching or?
Listen, it's always the underage structures that are coming through. Look, they've had a good run this year, to be quite honest with you. The BT Rua, I suppose, in St Eunice, look, they're still a wee bit. Rua and St Eunice still have a wee bit to go. They're just in transition and they're getting themselves together. Look, I was impressed with St Eunice at the weekend. I saw them play Termon, and they only got defeated by 2 points. So look, there's a lot of players coming into the run there in St Eunice as well. Every year throws up something different for the ladies, but look, it is good to see Dunlow in there and competing, and it's good to see Maville on top of the table as well. They'll be happy with that as well. Yeah, indeed. And well, tell me, it's hard to get into all the levels of the championship. Is anybody putting their hands up in the other championship? You've noticed that a bit like Dunlow that maybe could come through and maybe make their way towards senior. Well, look, you're looking probably at Downing's coming through, and there's a lot of teams, and as I say, it changes quite a bit every year, Brendan, and you're looking at results, and there's a couple of shockers in there, but like Downey's will be very, very they'll be challenging well after last year. There's a brilliant run out of last year, as you well know, so look, they'll be coming through the intermediate ranks, and then you have Glenswally will probably in the junior levels will be looking to get into intermediate as well. They've been knocking the door for a few years, so those are the kind of teams you're looking at. So Downey's coming through from intermediate, which would be great to see. It's fantastic. There's a lot of work being done down there in Downey's. They went to All Ireland. They narrowly lost out in the end. Disappointed with that, but like to see them come through the intermediate ranks, like Dunlow, and probably Glenswally be knocking at the door as well. With the junior competition. Yeah, it's all very positive. It's great to see that happen. Lot of clubs really getting their. I suppose our house in order and getting that interest out there, which again, obviously looking at it from just an overall perspective, it's going to push players through eventually for Donegal. Well, that's probably the main aim as well. Look, is blooding these players at underage level and trying to get back to top levels within the county, Brendan. I think that's what we're looking for and aiming for. Yourself. Yeah, top stuff. You can go on and coach them then and. I'm actually back playing, Brendan, at junior league. Sorry, I heard about this. That's right. Yeah. Well, I played a game and then I made a hero of myself, and I thought I could run all day, but the body told me something different, so I couldn't do it then last weekend. It's funny how quickly the body checks you back to say, whoa, hold on. Absolutely. Yeah. I get them wee shocks all the time, hey, and I'm like, jeez, if I let the fitness go this bad, but we will have a plan, Mo. It might have to wait till January, but we'll do pre-season and we'll see how it goes. I'll wait for you to do it first, Mo, yes indeed, that's grand. Listen, Mo, thanks so much for that wrap up this evening across all championships. Fair play to you. Good stuff, Ben. I'll chat to you later. That's great. Maureen O'Donnell there, and chairman and former Donegal star, of course, great contributing here on Highland Radio. After the break, I'm going to talk to Niall Cleary about Saturday's big hurling club finals in O'Donnell Park.
Ireland, this is your broadband wake-up call. Over 275,000 people are waking up to Vodafone fibre broadband, now for just €25 a month. So stop snoozing on award-winning broadband. Switching is easy at Vodafone.ie.
Subject to eligibility. Signing up to our €40 per month broadband package, €15 discount applied for first 6 months, an annual price increase of $3.50 each April. 24-month contract applies. For terms, see Vodafone.ie.
Today's lesson: how to save even more with Spar's back-to-school Red Value offers. Red hot right now, we have Kellogg's Cornflakes 450 gram, only €2. Naked Smoothie Range 300ml, now half price plus deposit. And Fresh Choice Kitchen Barn Eggs 6-pack, just €2. See Red. Find amazing Spar Red Value under the tree. Offers available from August 22nd to 25th in participating stores while stocks last.
At Uisce Éireann, we're upgrading Ireland's water network to ensure a clean, safe and reliable supply for everyone. Sometimes this work can be disruptive. That's why we have a free text alert service providing real-time updates on outages and planned works over 4 hours in your area. So far, over 250,000 people have signed up. Join them and stay informed. Sign up today with your mobile number and air code at water.ie. Uisce Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
Looking at the Kia Sportage? Call to Heron Auto Donegal, where for just €1,500 more than the diesel model, you can upgrade to a hybrid automatic with a bigger boot, spare wheel option and finance from just 3.9%. Drive smarter, drive further and drive with confidence with Heron Auto Donegal Town, your trusted Kia main dealer. Book your test drive today at Heron Auto or visit heronauto.ie.
The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, welcome back, folks, to the show. And we'll talk to former Donegal star and Satanta player Niall Cleary. Niall, how are you, sir?
Good, Brendan. How are you keeping? Good to chat to you again.
You're keeping well. You're beside the seaside now, though, were you?
I'm beside the seaside. I'm in Dunfanaghy now, Brendan. Yeah, so I don't know. It's like, you know, that one life, one club. It doesn't really make sense for me. I don't know whether I'm a St Michael's man or a Satanta man or a Shinrone man now at this stage. I'm very, very confused.
I've moved about a wee bit myself. That's quite all right with me. Now, are you getting involved down there with a bit of hurling and that?
Yeah, they've got a bit of hurling going now in St Michael's. It's been going there on a Thursday night. Manus Friel, who's one of the coaches of Donegal GA, has been a big pusher in that. And yeah, been getting brilliant numbers, Brendan, 40 or 50 there, kind of most Thursday nights. So it's been class. And then the football's been going well the last couple of weeks as well. So everything's going well over that side at the moment.
Yeah, magic stuff. And I know you've been involved in different things now. If we've time at the end, just promoting the game around the county, we'll get on to it. But first of all, now, 3 big games at the weekend. We have a junior final. We have Letterkenny Gales, which is great to see, against Burt. St Eunan's Dunlow, St Eunan's second team, and then the big one, the senior final, your own men of Satanta against St Eunan's. So listen, a huge day in the park again, and a brilliant day in the Donegal hurling calendar.
Yeah, that's it. It's brilliant the way it's been working the last few years to be able to have 3 finals: the junior, intermediate, and the senior. And you know, Donald Park, which is really the home of hurling in Donegal. It should be a really great occasion. And to see teams like Four Masters won the junior this year, Letterkenny Gales are in it this year, Dunlow are in the intermediate final. So it's great to see a spread of clubs around the county, and I know the pitch will be in great nick there. It always is. So it should really be a great day of hurling on Saturday. Yeah, and that'll kick off pretty early then. Now, and listen, it's a great thing to come down and be involved in, because listen, county finals at every stage, you know, listen, I've won a junior football county final, and listen, it was the greatest thing ever at the time. You know, any championship you won is massive. So, you know, there's a great area there. I would encourage everybody to go down and see these games in this final, because there's a great buzz about it. And I think, you know, as we all know, it's such a special game. You talk about a day's entertainment, there's nothing like it. No, that's it, Brendan. And apart from that, being at a final is obviously going to be great, but the standard has really just risen in the last few years, particularly in the senior level anyway. And it should be a real quality game of hurling, on top of it being a great occasion. Last year, I know the county board put in a great effort, and they had a band and everything before it, and they did kind of similar to what the football would do. So yeah, it should be a really great occasion, and there's a good spread of clubs, so hopefully there'll be a big crowd there to cheer everybody on. And just on the two, before we get to senior finals, just on that, so the Bird team that's playing in this against Letterkenny Gales, different teams have a second or third team potentially, and St Eunan's the same. Yeah, that's it. Burt are in the junior, so that'll be their second team. So, but still, I'm sure they'll have some good hurlers. I haven't seen any reports of matches, but they usually have some of the older players, like Mickey McCann played himself up to a couple of years ago, Niall Campbell, you know, players like that who are still togging out junior. And you know, which is amazing, because them boys have given so much to their club over 20, 30 years, just at adult level, to be still going and still togging out to play for a junior team is amazing. And then Dunlow, have Cormac Hartnett's been doing a lot of work over in Dunlow, and for them to get to an intermediate final, I don't think that they've won it yet, so it would be a big thing for them to win an intermediate final. But I know they'll be up against it, because St Eunan's seem to have a really strong intermediate team this year as well. They have a lot of players who would have had maybe senior experience or played maybe senior league anyway, even this year. So that'll be a tough game for them, but it's great to see them in it.
Yeah, but the rules now would be the same as ever. If you've played senior, that's the team that you're in, so you have to kind of commit to one or either.
Yeah, that's it. The same thing as any county. I suppose you name your 15 at the start of the year. Everybody else can play for the second team up until when they play for the first team.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's just, I suppose, out of fairness, they did kind of try it one year where you could play, say, up to the semi-final stage for both teams. But some teams are kind of coming stacked then for an intermediate or a junior game, and it just didn't work out. So
Yeah.
I think this is probably the fairest way, and clubs seem to be getting the numbers out for second teams, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and of course, Bert, the champions last year, that was a pretty amazing game against Setanta in the final. One of those games just where a team was, it was just one of those days where they weren't going to be beat. But of course, Setanta, as many people say, the most talented squad, I think, in the county potentially. But them and St Eunan's, of course, you were saying it was the top four. So one played 4, 2 played 3. So it left St Eunan's against Sean McColl's, and Bert played off against Setanta in the semi.
Yeah, 100%, Brendan. That was it. So we played St Eunan's early on in the championship in the cross, and we were blessed to get out of it with a draw. We got a goal and a point in the last couple of minutes, just to steal a draw from them, really. So then it was just coming down to score difference between us and them for the first spot, and they kind of blew everyone out of the water in the group stage. So they finished top. They played McCool's then, and McCool's have been kind of putting in a lot of work underage, and they're definitely improving under Jamesy Donnelly, but they're just not quite up to that level just yet. And so Union's kind of beat them fairly easy in the semi-final. And then we played Burt, and different game to last year. I suppose Burt were down a lot of players this year. Liam McKinney, who's their main man, one of the main players on the county team, he was missing. He spent the summer over in the States. So it was a different kind of game, and we just got on top, and we ran out winners 5 or 6 points in that one. But I don't think the group stage result or the semi-final results, that's been so long ago now, it's been a month since the semi-finals, I don't think they're going to have any bearing at all on Saturday. Yourself, finals kind of just come down to on the day, don't they? And even if you're looking at the All-Ireland finals this year from the hurling and the football, like nobody gave Tip a chance going into the hurling, and it was just all about performance on the day. And the same thing into the football, everyone was saying it was a 50-50 game, and then Kerry just performed better on the day, and that's exactly what finals come down to. You just have to perform on the day.
Yeah, yes, indeed. We're still trying to get one on board. All right, now see that thing you're talking about there. The Donegal probably think, because as I spoke to you earlier, there hasn't been very little talk about it because there was so much going on with Donegal being on All-Ireland final. It probably took away from the hurling a bit. So I'm really glad now this weekend it has pride of place, and we can really look forward to these, what should be great encounters, because it kind of wee bit got lost in that whole for our round Donegal.
It probably did a little bit, Brendan. But it was an amazing year. And even I'm teaching over there in Carrigart, and the kids were coming in every Monday, and they're raving about these matches, and they're on the pitch after it, and they're traveling up and down the country, and there was a real buzz about that. And then maybe just the hurling then started probably at the wrong time, and then everybody kind of knows at this stage it's going to be 3 out of the 4 teams in the semi-final anyway, so it doesn't really kick off till semi-final stage. So maybe that was something to do with it. But yeah, it should be. Hopefully there'll be a bit of a build-up now in the papers this week, and it'll get a decent crowd down. And I know you're always very good to the hurling yourself to give it it time on the debate and stuff.
That's my mum's from Galway. She wouldn't forgive me otherwise. They're all hurling. That's why we grew up with a lot of hurling. My sisters would have played camogie for Donegal. We'd been out battering each other. I actually played a wee bit for Bert, which went down well at the Setanta dinner dance when I told him that when I was up there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you were a popular man going into it. I don't know if you were popular going out, but
I should have kept that bit quiet. But listen, the rivals are good. Niall, is Union's up their game a bit this season then, definitely, compared to maybe last season in terms of being at the pitch?
They're always thereabouts. They're, you know what I mean, that they beat us in a final already, and they've been in lots of finals, so they're always thereabouts. But this year they just seem to be, you know what I mean, really going well. They've been, like I said, they've been shooting really good scores in the group stages. They seem to have everybody. I'm sure Sean McVeigh will be back for the weekend as well. I'm sure we'll see him at some stage. But yeah, they just have really good players there. Conor O'Grady, Peter Kelly. They've a new fella in there from Tip, Kieran Larkin. I know they've been getting huge numbers out to training, so it's probably a new one for Setanta going into the final as underdogs. and probably rightly so. You know, Union's topped the group, blew everyone away. So it's probably a different build up to the game this year with it being like that.
Yeah, and do you know what? I was out there one night and the hurlers come out past me, and you would notice the physical shape that they're in, you know. And I know club follows county, you know, and I've seen that with the football in terms of the physical shape and everybody then getting that type of a programme, of course not going to that level, but certainly from what I noticed, the hurlers, they were in serious physical shape, you know, and I suppose that's key to you being a team that they are this season.
Yeah, 100%, Brendan. You don't get away with it anymore, being out of shape at club level in Donegal. Like there's nobody who's getting to a semi-final or final has players really who are out of shape. Like, and I know St. Unions will have a few dual players there as well, who are obviously going to be very fit and stuff. But yeah, you're 100% right. That's the strength and conditioning and the fitness work in the hurling in Donegal in general has just gone up a notch in the last probably 6 or 7 years. Like since I'm up 10 years now, and it was nothing like what it was then anyway.
Yeah. So what's your head telling you? Never mind your heart. What's your head telling you on this one, Niall? You're thinking Unions, because of the group stages, maybe are slight favourites, but you've got obviously serious experience in St. Andrews, particularly with the run they went on a couple of seasons ago through Ulster.
Yeah, I think just based on the results so far in the championship this year, Unions look like they're moving really well. Probably going just as slight favourites. But then, yeah, like you say, Satanta, we've been to this will be our 9th final in a row. So there's a huge amount of experience in our squad. And obviously then there's a little bit of hurt from last year, which we'll want to right. And it's just then it comes down to that, like I just said to you, performing on the day and just making sure that everybody wins their own battles. And hopefully then at the end of the day, you're hoping if you win enough of those battles that you'll come out on top.
Yeah, certainly huge experience in there, as I say, from a team that went all the way to the All-Ireland final a couple of seasons ago. That whole team, the basics, the bones of that team is still there. Now we're just down to the last minute and a half. Tell me, you were doing a bit of work with coaching around the county, promoting the hurling game there a while back.
Yeah, so there's a new head of hurling, Willie Maher, who's a man from Tipperary, and he's kind of brought in an initiative where he's trying to get new hurling units. I think they're kind of referring to them as. So that can be a completely new club, or it can be getting hurling going in an existing club. So I think 7 clubs in Donegal applied for and got this grant or this equipment. So I suppose I'm living in Dunfanaghy and I'm teaching in Carrigart, so which will be affiliated with the Downings Club, obviously. So St. Michael's have it up and running on a Thursday night, like I say, from under 10s down. And then Downings will be getting it up and running out once we get back to school, kind of thing. And then there's other clubs as well, you know, Glen Swilly there, who have a few kind of expert players, and there's a few more a lot down the west, I think. So it seems to be going really well, and obviously the fact that these clubs are getting players out and getting shows that there is an interest in it there, and you know, it's brilliant to see. I think the more people you can get into your club, the better. Like, it's never going to be a hurling v football thing, like, especially in Donegal. Everybody knows football is always going to come first, and that's 100% the way it should be. But I think just giving everybody the chance to play hurling is important.
And listen, you can see the growth in it now, and it's fantastic to see, and well 100%. Done with all your work. Now, that's the end of the show there. Thank you so much for that wrap up. I'll see you out there at Donald Park on Saturday supporting the Unions. What are the Unions?
Thanks for that, Brendan. We'll see you after. How you're still feeling. Good man.
Top man. That's Niall Cleary there. Listen, we look forward to the game on Saturday in the hurling finals. Thanks everybody for contributing to the show this evening and wrapping up all. I want to thank Mark Gallagher for producing. Stay tuned for the excellent Monday night sessions. The two lads are raring to go, and I'll speak to you all next week.